Hello everyone, I am Tazeen and welcome back. Today's Reddit AIT story is about an 18-month-old toddler, a swimming pool, and an $800 phone, and a family argument that still has not been forgotten years later. So without any further delay, let's get into today's story. A few years ago, I was 27 years old and had a 18-month-old son. Like most toddlers, he was curious about absolutely everything. If he could grab it, throw it, splash it, and chew it, he probably would. One weekend, my parents offered to babysit him for a day. I was happy for the break and knew he would have fun spending time with his grandparents. While he was there, my younger sister, who was 25 at the time, decided to stop by for a visit. Apparently, it was a warm day, so everyone thought it would be fun to take my son into the backyard pool. I was not there, so everything I know comes from what everyone told me afterward. Somewhere during the pool time, my sister had her phone nearby. Exactly how it happened, nobody really knows. Maybe she placed it on the edge of her pool, maybe she handed it to someone for a second, maybe she simply was not paying attention. Whatever happened, my 18-month-old phone somehow managed to grab the phone and without any further delay splash straight into the water. Everyone rushed to pull it out, but it was too late. The phone turned on, but several important features stopped working permanently. It was basically doomed. Later that evening, my sister called me. At first, I assumed she was just telling me the full story. Instead, she got straight to the point. The replacement cost about $800. I need you to pay me back. I honestly thought she was joking. She was not. She fully expected me to replace her phone because my son had thrown it into the pool, and that's where the real arguments began. She kept insisting that because my son had caused the damage, I was automatically responsible for replacing her phone. She did not care that he was only 18 months old. In her eyes, the situation was simple. My kid broke it, so I should pay. I told her I completely understand why she was upset. Losing a $800 phone is not fun, and if someone had intentionally damaged her property, I would absolutely expect them to replace it. But this was not an adult. This was not even a school-age child. This was literally a toddler who still needed help eating with a spoon. I asked her one question. If he had wandered into the kitchen and pulled a knife off the counter, whose fault would be that? She immediately answered, well, obviously mine because I was watching him. Exactly, I replied. So why is the phone different? She did not really have the answer. Instead, she kept repeating that my son was the one who physically threw the phone into the water. I told her dad toddlers don't understand consequences. They grab things, they throw things, they explore everything around them. That's why whoever is supervising them has to keep dangerous and valuable items out of reach. If I handed my son a glass vase and he smashed it on the floor, nobody would blame the baby. They would blame the adult who handed him the vase. She became even more frustrated. She accused me of trying to avoid responsibility and said I was making excuses because I did not want to spend the money. That honestly irritated me. Money was not the issue. If I genuinely believed I was responsible, I would have paid the entire amount without arguing. The problem was principle. I could not accept being blamed for another adult's mistake while they were supposed to be supervising my child. Trying to keep the peace, I reminded her about my compromise. I will pay half. I figured $400 was a reasonable way to avoid a huge family fight. Even though I still believed I was not obligated to pay anything, but instead of appreciating the compromise, she got even angrier. She immediately rejected the offer. Half is not good enough, she said. I should not have to pay anything. Your son destroyed my phone, so you need to replace it. At that point, I started getting a little frustrated. I was not refusing to help because I did not care. I was offering $400 even though I genuinely believed the accident happened because she was not paying attention. I tried explaining my reasoning one more time. If he had been 10 years old and intentionally grabbed your phone and threw it in the pool after you told him not to, I would replace it without even thinking about it. But he was not. He was 18 months old. He does not understand what a phone is. He does not understand that electronics and water don't mix. He probably thought it was another toy. She rolled her eyes. You are just making excuses. That comment really bothered me because I was not defending my bad behavior. I was defending the reality of having a toddler. Everyone who's ever spent more than 10 times around the 18-month-old knows they are basically time trials machines. They will throw your keys in the trash, hide your wallet, dump cereal into Dot's water bowl, and somehow climb into furniture you were positive they would not reach. That's exactly why adults are supposed to supervise them. The conversation went in circles for nearly half an hour. Neither of us was changing our minds. Then something popped into my head that I had not planned on mentioning. About 2 months earlier, I had loaned her an item worth roughly $300. I trusted her to take care of it. Weeks passed before I finally tackled it down myself at my parents' house. When I found out it was scratched, damaged, and barely usable, I asked her what happened. She simply shrugged. I only used it once. The kid must have damaged it. By the kids, she meant our nieces and nephew who had been running around the house. I remember waiting for her to say, I am sorry, or I will replace it, or even I will help pay for repairs. But she never offered anything. She basically said, stuff happens. So I let it go. I don't want to fight with family over $300. But now the same person who had told me to accept that accident happens was demanding I replace her $800 phone after she lost control of my toddler. I reminded her about that. She immediately dismissed it. That's completely different. I asked her how. She could not really explain. She just kept repeating, your son broke my phone. At that point, I realized we are not arguing about the phone anymore. We were arguing about who should be responsible when an adult failed to supervise our baby. At this point, neither of us was willing to back down. She believed I was refusing to take responsibility as a parent. I believe she was refusing to take a responsibility as an adult supervising my child. Eventually, our parents got involved. My mom tried to stay neutral. She understood both sides but kept saying maybe just pay for it so this does not turn into a family feud. My dad had similar opinion. It's only money. Just replace the phone and move on. I remember thinking it's always easy to volunteer someone else's wallet. So I asked them both the same question. If this had happened at daycare, if a daycare worker left their phone within reach and a 18-month-old threw it on the pool, would the daycare send me a $800 bill? Neither of them answered immediately. Because honestly, I think they already knew the answer. Probably no. The employee would most likely to be told they should not have left an expensive phone where a toddler could grab it in the first place. Family, however, seemed to change everyone's expectation. I was not saying my son was perfect. He was not. He was a toddler. Toddlers don't make logical decisions. They are curious. They grab things. They throw things. Sometimes for absolutely no reasons. That's why adults are expected to supervise them every second around water. After thinking about it for a day, I called my sister. I said, look, I don't want this to ruin our relationship. I will pay half, $400. I think that's a fair compromise. There was a long silence. Then she replied, I don't want half. I want the full $800. If you don't pay me, I will know exactly how little you value me. That is honestly hard because from my perspective, I was the only one trying to compromise. She was not willing to meet me halfway at all. She wanted me to accept 100% of the blame while she accepted none. So I told her, I am sorry, but $400 is the most I can offer. She hung up. For the next few weeks, things between us were awkward. Family dinners became uncomfortable. She barely spoke to me, and whenever the phone came up, she had to remind everyone that I refused to replace it. But every time I replayed the situation in my head, I came to the same conclusion. If you are an adult responsible for watching an 18-month-old, you also have the responsibility to keep expensive electronics out of their reach. I could not convince myself that my compromise was unfair. Still, the disagreement has been brought me more than once over the years, and some relatives still think I should have paid for the entire phone. Others think I should not have to pay a single dollar. Now, I was now wondering, was I wrong for paying half AITA? Let me know your opinion in the comments and I will meet you in the next one. Bye bye. Tada.